and there's all kinds of other different things, you know, that they can do, but it's addictive, you know. And so anyway, that's why, you know, going off on why I was thinking about getting a cell phone is because or a flip phone, because I'm like, you know what, I as much as I love my smartphone, I also am like, you know, want to live life too, you know. And
Yeah, I understand you know, I
and I'm a marketer. I love this stuff, you know. But
so do you know what? I said this once before. One of the reasons why I stayed and kind of kept in the game, especially with network marketing, is because of the internet. Because I was not the personality to run around chasing people and meeting them in malls and trying to set up meetings, all that kind of stuff. You don't have a life when you're trying to do that stuff. Yeah. And I heard you said this thing a lot of times, leverage.
Yeah.
This is what this technology allows you to do, is leverage. And without the leverage, it would have kicked me out of the game. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, and without leverage, it's why go through all that stuff to me, that didn't make any sense. Once I look back of what I did in network marketing back in the mid-late 90s, you had to do what you had to do because you didn't have this technology.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I showed a marketing plan, I used, was AOL was the big thing back then.
Yeah.
And I used what was the thing? The AOL Messenger. That's what I used.
Yeah.
That was my first experience with leveraging.
Yeah.
And stuff. So yeah, it's
yeah. And you know, I mean, using social media is incredibly powerful. And it's a platform, and you have to be where people are, you know.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And I think that the leverage of it is pretty incredible, you know, and the reach of it is pretty incredible. And I think, you know, just coming from a marketer's point of view, I think watching Social Dilemma with the marketing mindset, because you can actually learn some strategies from how they've engineered Facebook, you know.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Now I haven't looked at Netflix in a while, since the early part of this month. When this pandemic hit, I was on Netflix a lot and stuff. But I haven't really looked at. I was looking at, what's the other one? Amazon Prime and all that other stuff. I'm gonna have to check that out. I remember when the movie Social Media, was it Social Media? When it came out, was about the guy who's the founder of Facebook.
Yeah.
But you know, I guess my attitude about all this was, you know, they get caught up in how people track you with all the technology. But I said, if you think back to the days when you had magazine subscriptions, even telephone, they were tracking you then. I mean, if you really think about it from that standpoint, I think what scared people is how technology, we talked about this earlier, technology went from 0 to 6 months critical mass. I think that's where the fear comes from. You know, a lot of people they can't fathom how much things are moving fast and this is going and going. I don't know, that never scared me. I don't know. Well, I mean, what was your thoughts about that? You know,
I'm not very fearful about it either. I'm not really, you know, afraid of it. I think my biggest thing is just, you know, I always try to live balanced, you know, like, you know, because my biggest thing is like, I don't always want to be like this, you know. And I mean, it's not that my phone is a bad thing, but you know, I like to, you know, I want to be enjoying life too. I think there's a lot of, you know, there's a time for it. And I think, I don't know, I just try to look at things balanced. There's a time when I need to be on my phone, checking things, doing things.
You're right.
But there's also a time where I consciously set the thing down so that I can focus on my family and, you know.
Sure. Yeah, because I get people saying, well, you know, they're asking me, well, you're always on online. I said, no, it's just I got things running, automated, and I might be doing something else. I might be out running or whatever. You know, I've never, you know, what's going on and stuff. But I understand what you're talking about, because you gotta, balance life. And I felt like this technology has given me more of a balanced life than when we were in the old days,
Absolutely.
trying to chase down people about a business. I was just like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and the holidays are coming up. I know what I want to ask you. What I know when I first knew about you, you were living in Chile.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you get to move there?
Well, my wife is from Chile,
Okay.
and my wife and I met in California. We lived
Okay.
in California. We got married there, and we lived there. I met her in 2002. We got married in 2003,
Okay.
and we lived there until 2000 and the end of 2009.
Okay.
And we moved to Chile because 2008 was when the crash happened. Real estate took a total dump, and we had a house in California that went from almost $400,000 in value, and it tanked and went down to 140. And I
That
got
was in
laid off.
California.
Yeah, in California.
You know,
And I lost my job, and I was like, I was just over it. I'm like, let's go somewhere else. And
California, even back in the late 80s, early 90s,
yeah,
they were. I looked at a house that was smaller than my parents, and they wanted $350
yeah,
for it. I said, you guys are gonna price yourself out of the market. That was back in 89, 90.
yeah.
Okay. I can imagine what it was when you were talking about in 2003, 2004. No.
Well, and we bought our house in an area that was quite a far away from everything, So it was kind of when we, to get a house down in San Diego where it would have been nice to get one. I mean, you're talking $750,000, $800,000. I'm like, no.
Yeah, San Diego is expensive.
Yeah, I was like, I can't afford that.
Yeah, I love San Diego. I lived in the West LA area when I was living there.
Yeah.
In fact, my bedroom was right. I could see well, at that time it was MGM Studios, and I'm thinking now it's Sony, right in West Culver City area. Where did you live at? Did you live in San Diego?
I lived in San Diego, and then I lived in Temecula in the Inland Empire for
5
years. And then
I worked for a real estate company. Remember, I have to drive down there, send some plans down there, Inland Empire. I remember going down there.
Yeah.
I've been all over the state of California back then. Yeah. It's a crazy. I mean, I love the weather back out there, but trying to live out there was something. How long did you live out there?
Well, I moved out to California in 2002, and then I got married while I was out there, and we ended up moving in 2009. So what, 8 years? 8 years or so.
Are you originally from back east or here, or Midwest, or what?
Yeah, I'm originally from Michigan. I grew up in Clarkston, Waterford area, which is north of Detroit, about maybe 30-40 minutes off the 75. So if you just kind of take the 75 straight up through Detroit, head north about 40 minutes, right on the 75. I lived right off the 75 there too.
So you're a Michigan guy here in Buckeye Town.
Oh yeah, well, you missed it. I was telling Kent when you were having the tech issues, but so I used to live in Columbus for 3 years.
Did?
Yeah, when I moved out to California, I was actually living in Columbus in Grove City, Galloway area.
Okay, yeah, I know exactly. I had a good friend lived in the Galloway. There were some apartments out that way. Yeah, I know exactly where you're talking about.
So I lived there, and I used to do air conditioning and refrigeration. So I was a technician. So I would always wear my Michigan hat, when I got it. So one day I got this call, and it was to go down for a service call, and it was on Ohio State campus.
Oh.
And so I get to the campus, and I go into like this cafe at the campus because they had a refrigerator that was down, and so I needed to go in there and check it out. And as I walk in, it's kind of like in the middle of lunchtime, and everybody's in there. And I walk in, and people are looking at me like I'm Satan, like I am just Satan walking. And I'm thinking to myself, why is everybody looking at me so weird? And I get back to the kitchen area, and the guy says, you are either really brave or really stupid for wearing that hat in here. And I forgot, because I forgot that I'd had it on. So
yeah, it's
that's my Michigan, Ohio State funny.
See, my parents went to Ohio State. Kent, he's a Buckeye,
Yeah.
Ohio State graduate and stuff. I went to Ohio State one day and looked for this class. I could not tell you where it is to this day. And that's why I stopped going there. That campus back then, it was big.
Yeah.
And I can imagine what it is now. Ohio State was just, I knew I wouldn't have fit in there that way. So in fact, you talking about online stuff. I did finish my schooling online, everything.
Is that where you graduated from, Kent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Eons ago, yeah.
Anybody who won the game Saturday?
Oh, what guys won?
Well, I don't know. I heard. I don't know. I didn't follow it, so that's why I was asking. I don't know. I'm just curious what it was.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Since we got you on, I was wondering if you I know you got a lot of courses and stuff on video, and I like to tell the audience we got some people on Facebook looking at us.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? Why would you say video is probably one of the best ways to get engagement?
Yeah.
As far as why would you use video, especially in today's market?
Well, you have to. I mean, it's kind of like there's really there's no option. I mean, I think people expect it nowadays. I mean, and it's still highly underused. I mean, I still find it pretty incredible that not a lot of people still do it. But it's necessary. You need to, people, like I said before, people need to know, who they're doing business with, and it helps you to get to know people better.
Would you say it's probably the next best thing from not having that high touch with somebody, especially now with what we're dealing with, whether we're going to go back to post-COVID or whatever, pre-COVID,
it's necessary. I mean, one of the things, like I have coaching clients that I work with, and one of the number one rule that I have with my coaching clients is when we do our calls, we do video.
Right.
We do a Skype call. I don't just do it on the phone. I want to see you, and I want to see if you roll your eyes at me when I tell you to do something or give you something to do. Like I want to be able to interact like we're sitting across the table.
Right.
So
right.
For me, it's a very important thing, and I know from my own personal, I'm more apt to buy something if I can see some type of video or, it doesn't always happen that way, but it's definitely something that I take into consideration. So
yeah, it's because I said I think really now, I don't know how you guys would think about this. You all just talk about how the economy is doing this, but I think to me that the economy will probably be worse if we didn't have social media and the internet, because of what is allowing us to do, and it's still allowing commerce in maybe of a different way to still move. What is your thoughts on that? Well, I mean,
absolutely. I mean, it definitely helps. Any way you can communicate better is always going to help. Where the times where you might have flown across the country to go do some meetings, now you can just do them virtually. Whereas that wasn't so easy to do 10 years ago.
And I remember, I had a friend who was it was in that time when Airbnb stuff was coming around. Mm-hmm. Her primary business was like executive, what she called executive housing, mm-hmm. for business people to come in wherever, and they would call her for they were staying here for a certain amount of time. She would put them up because she had she was in real estate also, her family and everything. And then I guess when was it 2000? Think about when the collapse happened, 2008, 2009, around that time. It affected her business a lot, and we didn't have a lot of the technology that we have right now. So it's you see all this different changes. I always wondered, as my dad was a salesman, he sold cars and did stuff like that. I wonder what he would think about all this stuff now
Yeah.
If he was still alive. What brought you to? I know you used to live in Florida. I'm
Yeah.
thinking you moved from Chile to Florida. Now you're
Yeah.
up in Ohio. Now, what brought you to Ohio in the cold?
Well, I'm originally from Michigan, like I said.
Yeah.
So all my family is in Michigan. I have my mother's side of the family. On my dad's side of the family, they're kind of spread all out. But when I originally went to Chile, you know, all my wife's family is down there. So
Right.
we were like, well, let's move down there so that we can be close to the family, spend, you know, time with them. It was great. You know, for 4 years we were there. We could see the family all the time. And then my dad, you know, his health wasn't the best. So in 2014, we decided to move back just because, you know, my business was taking off. I needed to go to more events, things like that. So, and it's very expensive to fly round trip from Santiago, Chile to, you know, like I would go to, you know, event in Texas with MLSP, and you know, we're talking a $1,500 round trip ticket. Not only that, we're talking, you know, about 20 hours of travel time
Right.
between flights and then a layover, and then so then you need a full day just to recover from flying, and then you have the event, and then you fly home, and then you need a whole nother day. So we're talking 7-8 days, you know, and it was kind of grueling, and I wanted to go to more events, you know, and so that just made sense for us to come back, you know.
Yeah, I
and
guess
we
it's the
moved to
difference
Florida where
from
my dad
flying
lives.
20 hours to flying maybe a couple hours
Yeah.
somewhere and stuff.
So, you know, we moved to Florida, and, you know, was there with my dad, and my dad passed away a year ago.
Oh,
And
sorry to hear. Yeah, I did see you
yeah,
say something about this.
yeah.
Dad
And
passed
so
away.
he passed away, and then we were just like, you know, I mean, we have some friends in Florida, but, you know, not a ton that we hang out with on a regular basis. And here in Ohio, in Tip City, we have a ton of friends. I mean,
Oh, okay.
you know, through our church, I mean, we just have, I mean, my gosh, we have friends coming out the yin yang, you know,
Oh,
and it's great, you know. So for us, it was just logical. I loved Ohio. I didn't want to move back to Michigan because it's just too cold, you know.
yeah.
I mean, it's amazing a difference between here and then 3 hours north in Michigan. The difference.
Right.
In
Them
weather.
cats get up there, get smoked from, you know, from snow coming out of Canada.
Yeah, so I
versus
mean,
what?
the difference in temperature. I mean, you know, it still gets cold here and snows, but not like Michigan. You know,
Yeah.
Michigan gets pretty harsh.
Well, even you go 2 hours north of here in Columbus, Cleveland, Toledo,
Yeah.
and then kids up there laughing. Kids from Lima, so he knows about that. I tease him all the time. I say he likes the meat locker weather, and he
Yeah.
tells me, "Well, you like it 2 degrees above or below hell." I said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I don't know about that."
Just below hell. Just below.
So, you know,
Yeah.
Hey, Greg, let me ask Mark a question real quick while I'm thinking about it. Now I know because both of you are pretty much well versed in videos. Yes, I've done some, and I will continue to do some. But to you guys, I'm a relative novice. What would you say to us? Say to us novices who might have whose video experience is somewhat limited or practically none, or just for some of those marketers or
Yeah.
folks out there who's just not willing to give it a shot. What would you say to that?
Well, you know, I think if you really want to do it, that's the key first, is recognizing how, you know, valuable it is and important it is. And I think, you know, in order to do it, it doesn't take, it's not hard to do. I think a lot of times it's just the fear that kind of holds people back from doing it. Like, I don't know what to say, things like that. But, you know, the key is, like, if you have a topic that you know you want to talk about, you know, you just get on and, you know, start talking about it. If you're an expert in something, share what you know. And, you know, typically you don't even have to be an expert. I mean, just start talking about things that you're learning, things that other people will find valuable as well. And I think the biggest thing is those people overthink it too much. You know, I think that, you know, they kind of tend to overthink things where they never get around to doing it because they're just afraid they're not doing it the right way, or, some of the biggest audiences on YouTube are people that don't even edit videos. They just kick on a video and start talking, and, they start sharing, and they've got huge audiences, they're there to get information. And I think people tend to put production value over content value. The value of the content. It's the value of the content that's going to keep people on what you're doing. It's not the production value, which I mean, fancy videos with fancy editing and all those things, while those can be nice and they can certainly help, they're not necessary, especially if you've got, like there's a, growing up, I was always into like rock music, the 80s metal scene. I loved listening to all that. So I follow a channel on YouTube, and the guy just gets on, he has a little bit of video editing, but he just talks, and he'll talk for, 8-10 minutes giving updates about, music and rock music, metal music, things like that. And so he kind of summarizes all the news of things that are going on. There's nothing fancy about it. You know what I mean? It's just giving you kind of news on music. And that's a perfect example, of just being able to get in there and just start, and you get better over time,
Yeah. I always say now life is your canvas.
Yeah.
If you pay attention to just live your life, and you can take things that are happening. What I do a lot of times, I'll take things that happen and try to relate it to business. Okay. Sometimes, or just relate it to everyday life, period. I don't know. I have a background in martial arts. I've been in martial arts since I was 14. And one of my biggest,
I want to make sure I remain on your good side then.
Oh, it's kind of hard to do somebody virtually. You know what I mean?
You see Gregory one day, he's going to go all Karate Kid.
You're all right. You're all
right. One of my biggest influences was Bruce Lee. Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember when I lived in California, me and my roommate.
Just so you know, I love going back and watching that fight between Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris.
Oh,
one of the most epic fight videos ever, man.
Yeah, I did a video about that fight scene and about adaptability, and I took that scene and talked about that scene and related to business.
I mean, there's nothing more than when he's like,
oh,
all the sound effects. I mean,
and the metaphor with the cat playing with the rock.
Yeah.
That movie, that a lot of people miss that. If you're not into it like that, like I am, they miss the metaphors in that movie. There's a lot of metaphors that you could take and relate it to business.
Yeah.
And why in the beginning of that movie or that scene, you see Bruce Lee was getting his butt kicked by Chuck Norris until he switched and then started adapting to the situation. And I did a video about that. So yeah, I remember when they were talking about when he asked Chuck Norris to do that movie, he said, well, who wins the fight? He said, well, I do. So but a lot of times, a lot of things that I met Danny Inosanto. Danny Inosanto was one of Bruce Lee's, top students. And me and our roommate, we was in Marina Del Rey. We ran into him just on the street. And so we went to the one of the studios, I guess, at the time Bruce Lee had back in the day. That was my closest that I would get to Bruce Lee, because when Bruce Lee died, I was only 14 years old at that time. So, but it's you see that he's even more popular now after almost 50 years after he's passed.
The most recognizable name, in modern history about,
and not just for martial arts, it's just his philosophy about life. And that's kind of what I've taken from that and implemented to my business. And, I had to change some things in my thought process. But speaking of that, when you hear people throw around the term, the attraction marketing concept, okay? I don't know what your thoughts about that. I know what my thoughts about what attraction marketing, it's more like a concept. It's like what I relate to what Bruce Lee came out with Jeet Kune Do. Wasn't a martial art, it was a strategy, a concept.
Yeah.
The audience probably would like to know, what are your thoughts on this attraction marketing concept? As far as what do you think people should take it as implementing into their business?
Well, you know, it's actually a pretty simple concept. It's not difficult. I think that people complicate it. But attraction marketing is really just the simple concept of, you know, building kind of the audience, you know, building the it's like a perfect example of attraction marketing, I think, is, you know, go watch a TV show. You know, like, what's one of your favorite TV shows? Like, man, I'll tell you, one of the shows I loved growing up was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh yeah,
I love watching Will Smith, man. He's one of my favorites. But like, you watch that show and you're like, man, I love that show. But you know why all the networks make those shows? Has absolutely no other reason they make those shows than to bring people in, bring the audience so they can sell advertising. You know what I mean? That's what it is. So what it is they're providing something of value that people enjoy, people want to see, people want to get value out of. And in between, they're offering advertising, making pitches, you know, for products and services. And you got all the commercials that come in. And that's why these shows that commanded huge ratings, you know, some of the advertising slots cost millions. You know, it's like Friends. That was another huge show, you know, early 90s.
Right.
You know, Friends was huge. So advertising slots during Friends were huge because the audience was so massive.
And it related to that demographic that was coming up
right
in the 90s also, I think.
Yeah.
What do you think, as an individual marketer,
Mhm.
using attraction marketing? Do you think that people should look at it? This is what my thing is. Attraction marketing, for me, I think, is going to be different. Let's say for who you attract, Mark,
Yeah.
who can attract, and who I attract. And I think that comes from being comfortable with who you are as an individual. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, the whole idea of attraction marketing, especially as an individual, is not about attracting everybody. You know, I mean, you're not really, your goal isn't to attract everybody. Actually, to be honest with you, as much as I don't do my own marketing that way, a lot of people tend to be very controversial in how they market.
Mm-hmm.
Because controversy can actually be a very, very successful marketing concept, you know, and I've actually seen people teach it. I personally don't like to stir up that kind of energy, you know, for me personally. But, you know, there's little things here and there I'm opinionated on, but I try to, you know, keep free of that because, look, I want people to see how I do things and get value from just what I teach. So a lot of people, you know, can do that. But the idea of it is, from a personal standpoint, is that not everybody's going to gel with you or who you are, and that's totally cool. And we should never take offense to that. You know what I mean? I just don't. There's people that, you know, don't like me, you know, and I'm cool with that. It's like, hey man, love you, but I'm not losing sleep over it.
It's like any relationship.
Yeah.
You know, I look at it, you know, they always say network marketing and all this are a relationship built type. This is a relationship type business. So if that's the case, that's what we need to, as a relationship business, we don't need to worry about having everybody attracted to us.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want every girl attracted to, well, some people may, but you know, but you know what I mean? It's this, you know, you, especially when you get older, around my age, you're very like, okay. And you kind of discern different things because you're not the same person as you maybe been in your 40s, 30s, or 20s and stuff. So you kind of get a different, as you evolve, which we should all try to, you discern different things. And even in your business, you say, okay, no, that's not who I am. Who I want to attract is the people that get me. I remember Diane Hockman always talks about, for those, Diane Hockman's another marketer out here. She always talks about I'm looking for the people who get me.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
And
it.
you know, so
That's it. You know, and in the end, it's kind of like, be good with that, because, you know, you can really build a really good income on a very tight group audience. You know, you don't need a lot of people, you know, to make a lot of money. You know, I mean, really, you can make a healthy 6-figure income just on a group or an audience that loves what you do. They're repeat buyers, you know, and they just get a ton of value from what you do. I have some customers that have literally been around since the longest time. They buy everything I put out. They love the value I put out there, and I'm always working to take care of them as much as I possibly can. You know, that's how a successful business relationship is supposed to work. You know,
yeah,
um, you know, it's like, what, you know, some people, they love to go shop at Kroger, you know, where others might go like Walmart or whatever. You know, it's like people find where they like, and that's where they go. You
it's
know,
like somebody likes Pepsi versus Coca-Cola or Sprite versus 7-Up, you know,
Yeah.
those type of things. And yeah, you got to be cool with that, because like you said, you don't want everybody
right?
in your business. It's just like you don't want, and you don't want everybody at your house either. I mean, you know.
Well,
'cause
Greg, you're old enough, you know, Kent, you probably too. You guys remember the Coke, new Coke, and the old Coke, or in the
Oh
80s?
yeah.
oh yeah, I remember my
Okay.
aunt in New Jersey
Yeah.
drinking that. Do you remember what was it? The Pepsi? You remember the small?
Yeah.
You remember the small cans of Pepsi, like a half can of
Yeah.
Pepsi, but it was a Pepsi,
Oh,
had lemon in it or something. They had a name for it.
You know,
Pepsi Light.
that's considered one of the biggest marketing blunders of all time. Like, it really was. Like, it was super controversial. You know, people like showing up at Coke, like dumping out all the new on their parking lot, and it's like, whoa, you people are a little too passionate about something that is horribly bad for you.
But it seemed like that Pepsi
Yeah.
sold a lot on the East Coast versus back here. People are like, no, I don't like that. You know, I wouldn't. It had to. I think it was that type of where they had that what is it, aspartame in it or something like that.
yeah, something like.
You might as well get the regular. You know, as much as they say sugar's bad for you, you might as well get the real sugar cane sugar. I remember my dad said, well, there's a difference between beet sugar and sugar cane sugar.
Yeah.
So you might as well just regularly use a regular sugar, because it's that fake mess.
Yeah.
Ooh, and I can't have it because it gives me a headache.
Yeah.
So I just don't bother with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just I remember that, you know, that commercials, they were advertising it so much and stuff. So I don't know, but I see we're at about top of the hour. You got any last thoughts you can share with us about your marketing with the audience out here today?
Yeah, my biggest thing is, you know, this is a marathon, not a sprint. You know, I think the biggest thing that people, when they get into online marketing, I think the biggest thing that people struggle with is they want results now, you know, and, you know, they want it to happen for them right now. When's this going to happen? When am I going to start making money? And I'd love for everybody to just make money really, really fast. And there are ways to make a little bit of money here and there fairly quickly, you know. However, I think my biggest advice to anybody looking at doing online marketing is, you know, make a commitment to look at it as a career path, you know, like treat it just like anything else that you would do. If you wanted to get, you know, certified to be, you know, a lab technician, you know, whatever. It's not like you can just wake up one day and decide I'm going to be a lab technician and go down to the local blood bank or, you know, the lab and say, give me a job as a lab tech. No, you got to go to school. You got to learn it. You got to, you know, learn your skill. You got to practice. You got to get better. You got to know how to do things. And it's the same way here. Like, there's no difference. You know, it's like learning how to, you know, sell, learning how to write a good email, learning how to write an engaging Facebook post, learning how to do an engaging video. That takes time to learn. You know, some people come in and kill it right away, but they've also got backgrounds where they've gone through a lot of things already, and everybody's different.
You
know?
get those 10, 20 year overnight success. It's just like
Yeah.
you had, like, when I tell people when we were training more people in martial arts, I said, you got to train. It depends on where you want to go with it. I can show you the door to go through, but I can't make you go through it.
Right.
It's like, and that's the same thing with any marketing or anything you want to achieve. You have to train to
Right.
get better at it. And
Yeah.
it's not a destination. It's a constant evolution.
Perfect example. I mean, you know, in your martial art, you don't go from a white belt to a black belt like overnight.
Oh no.
I mean, there's a whole process.
It took me 12 years to get a black belt.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. But it wasn't that, it was more that I wasn't into that label of black belts.
Yeah.
Because I saw black belts that couldn't punch their way out of a wet paper bag. Okay. So I wasn't really impressed with the black belt. Like, I was never into that kind of stuff.
Right.
And maybe it's because of the people I train with. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know you're saying it takes time. And we live in such an immediate gratification society.
Yeah.
Like you said, everybody wants stuff right now. If I don't get it, or if I'm not a 6-figure earner or this in 2 months,
I'm out, you know.
I'm out, you know. Life don't work that way.
Yeah.
And nothing works that way. You gotta pay the price.
Yeah.
Do you agree? You gotta pay it. I don't care what it is.
Oh, yeah.
There's always a price to pay for there's nothing under. My uncle and my grandmother and everybody told me, you gotta pay a price for anything you want.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is.
Ain't nothing free. You got to work for it.
It's nothing free.
Sure.
And she always said there's nothing new. My uncle said there's nothing new under the sun. It's just refurbished.
Yeah.
And labeled a different way too. And that, as I gotten older, that has been the case for me. You know, you learn that stuff and like, wow, they were right about this stuff. So, well, I'm glad you were able to decide the technical mess that we, went through. Appreciate you coming on to the show. I know you're a busy dude, like we all are. I'm glad you took the time out. I know you said you usually do stuff on Sunday and stuff. And when I started this show, I actually started it on my phone. Okay, we just started this platform style panel store back in March when the pandemic happened. So we've been doing this style for like 8 months, and it's been working great for us and stuff. So
awesome.
I appreciate you coming on.
Likewise, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely, Ken.
And
Absolutely.
I want to, we like I said, we've been doing this. What's it been? 4 years? 2016.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're going into November.
I know. About to be 2021 soon. Can't believe that.
Things is going like this. I'm looking at next week. We're going to wear with it. We're losing daylight saving time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We are, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna be dark real early.
Oh,
like 5 o'clock and dark.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. So, okay, when I usually end this show, with a quote from Les Brown.
Yeah.
He always says something about between now and 8 o'clock in the morning, people are stressed because they got to go to a job. He said the heart attack rate goes up 30% during this time period, and it might even more so because of what we're going through now. But I always tell people, don't let anything stress you out like that. It's not worth that, because bad to say, it's not bad to say it's the truth. And I've heard this quote also. He said that people, if you drop dead at your desk or whatever, that company will have your job in the paper before they have your obituary. Yeah. I'm like, ooh. With that being said, thanks again, Mark, for taking the time out, for being on my show. Yeah. I was trying to get you and Steve, but haven't seen him out on the line in a while. But all right, let me see.
Good chatting, guys. Good seeing you, Kent. Great talking, Gregory. Appreciate you guys, and great time.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah.